This might be one of the most effective, highest converting landing pages you'll ever see, and by the end of this video, it's gonna all be yours. I'll show you step by step how to create the landing page and customize it with your own images, text, colors, and fonts for your unique offer, whether it's a lead magnet, webinar sign up, consultation call, or product sale. The best part is this landing page converts about 3 times as well as the average landing page template that you'd find anywhere else, and it requires absolutely no experience. So if you've never made a landing page or a website before, I'm gonna show you just how easy it is using WordPress, along with a free, really simple to use drag and drop page builder. Then with just a few extra clicks, we're gonna make sure it looks and works perfectly on all your mobile devices too. So if you're ready, let's get started by setting you up with a free domain name and a huge discount on web hosting. So I've arranged a special deal with my favorite hosting company, Hostinger. Just use my affiliate link to get the discount and a free domain name. So step 1 is to just follow the link below this video or visit wesmcdowell.com/hosting and we'll get started right now. Okay, so once you follow that link, you'll wind up on this page and you'll know you have it. If it says up to 78% off hosting and website builder, that means you got the deal. $269 a month right now, plus 3 months free. I can't promise that's always what it's gonna be, but that's what the deal is right now. You get a free domain with it, which is great. Free website migration if you need it, and great support as well. So we're just gonna click on claim the deal. And so you've got a choice here. You can go with premium, that's just fine for most of the time, but I actually recommend business for a few reasons. It's less than $1 more, but you get a lot more with it. You know, especially if you get a lot of traffic, this gives you up to 100,000 monthly visitors as opposed to 25,000. So you can make a lot more money if you have 100,000 visits versus 25,000. This also comes with a lot of cool stuff like WordPress AI tools. And here's the big one too, free CDN. That makes your website faster all over the globe. So I recommend it for that reason. So let's just go back up and click on choose plan. Feel free to choose whichever plan works for you though. Now you can choose how long you want it for. You've got, month, 12 months, 24, 48. I recommend 48. That just gives you the discount for a lot longer. If you got a year, the discount would be over after a year. So, but again, choose whatever you're comfortable with. And then I'm gonna click on continue. Now it just wants you to put in your email address and choose a password, and then you'll click on register. Okay, so now it just wants you to put in all of your information, including your payment information. Then you just click on submit payment. Okay, so then it says something like this. So payment's done. You just click on the get started button. Now it's gonna ask you some questions. You can skip all this. It's really not that important. And since we're doing a new website from scratch, we're gonna click on create a website. Next. And then WordPress. We're not gonna go with their website builder. Click on next. Okay, so here's another important step where we need to set the admin details for your WordPress dashboard. So why do we need that? Well, whenever you want to keep building your website, or if you want to go just check out the back end or anything like that, you need to log into it. So these are the details you're going to need for that. So I just recommend it be your email address and then a password you'll easily remember that's still secure. Okay, so I've got mine. Now we're going to click on next. And we're not going to choose either of these options. We're going to go down to create blank site. Okay, and now is the part where we can actually choose your domain name. Remember, that's something like yourbusinessname.com. So hopefully whatever you want is available. Sometimes it's not though, and you'll have to get a little more creative. So I'm just gonna try for, say, Wes McDowell Inc. Now, you've got all these options for all these what we call domain level extensions. That's your .com, your .me, .io. There's a lot to choose from, and there's more and more all the time. I tend to always recommend just going with .com for the really important reason that that's how most people think of domain names. And if you were to give people your domain name as a .net or a .org, their brain is more likely to remember it as a .com, so they're going to probably type in the wrong thing. So if you can possibly get your .com or something close to it that's a .com, that's what I would go with. And then we'll click on next. And it wants you to choose if it's personal or company. I'm just going to choose company and then next step. Okay, so just make sure your company name is filled in and that all this information checks out and is correct. And then you're going to click on finish registration. Then it's going to ask you where your audience is located, because here's the thing, you want your website to be stored. Remember how we talked about hosting is just a reliable computer that's set up somewhere, always ready to go. So you want that computer to be as close as possible to most of your customers and clients. So these are all their data centers. So if you're on the East Coast of the US, you might want to choose the one in Massachusetts. If you're more in the West, you might want to choose Arizona, or just choose whichever one in the world is closest to your customers. So for me in Chicago, I would probably do Massachusetts and then click next. So now it's installing WordPress. Now this might take a couple minutes. So we're just going to let that run till it's finished. Okay, so all that's done, and now we're inside of the WordPress dashboard area. So it may look slightly different for you. These things may not be here, but as long as you've got this side panel over here that's dark with, posts, media pages, all that good stuff, you're definitely in the right place. So the first thing we want to do though is we need to add our theme. So we're going to go over to Appearance, Themes, and these are the ones it comes with out of the box. They're very bare bones, but they're not what we need. So we're going to search for a new one. We're going to go up to Add New Theme. And the one we want is actually right here. It's called Hello Elementor. If it doesn't show up for you for whatever reason, just type in Hello Elementor in the search bar, and then it should pop up for you. So we're going to click on Install and then on Activate. So that takes care of our theme. Now, this theme just happens to play really nicely with the page building plugin that we're going to add right now. Okay, so let's go over down to plugins and then add new plugin. Now, if you don't know what a plugin is just an extra piece of code that you can add to your WordPress site that extends its functionality. It lets you do more with the site. So in this case, we're adding a plugin that lets us use a drag and drop page builder where we can actually import my proven to convert landing page so we can just customize it really quickly. And to do that, we need to get the plugin called Elementor. So we're just going to type that in right there. And then this one right here is the one we want, Elementor Page Builder. So let's click on Install Now and then on Activate. Whenever you add a new plugin, you always have to do those two steps. You have to install it, then activate it. And I'm actually going to skip all this. I'm just going to go up here to the X and get out of this. We don't need to create an account right now. This is the free version of Elementor. So one more thing left to do here, and that is to import my template that's the perfect layout, the perfect format for your landing page. So all you need to do is go to the link below this description to download my template. You don't have to put in your email address or anything like that. It's just free to download. And then once you've downloaded it to your computer, we're going to go over to templates. I'm just going to click on that. And then right up at the top where it says import templates, we're going to click there. You'll click on choose file. And this is the one right here. I just downloaded it. And we're going to click on upload and then import now. Click on do not show the message again, continue, enable an import. Okay, so now it's just going to take a second to import. Okay, so it says Wes McDowell landing page template 2025 right here. We're good to go. So let's go ahead and go over to pages and add new. All right, so this is going to be our brand new landing page. So I'm just going to type in landing page, just name it whatever you want. And then we're going to go up to edit with Elementor. Okay, so now we have gone from inside the WordPress environment to now we're inside of the Elementor page building environment. So let's go ahead and click out of this box here, and we'll click out of this as well. So this is what Elementor looks like. Basically what we have here on the right-hand side is what I call the stage. This is where you drag and drop different elements into place and you can customize them. And then over here is where we have all the different widgets, and it's where we can change the styles, we can change the content, all that good stuff. You'll see what I mean as we go. So first things first, let's click this little gear icon, and we're going to go down to where it says page layout. I'm going to choose Elementor Canvas. Okay, that clears everything out for us. So we have a brand new clean workspace. So now we have to add in that landing page template that we imported. So I'm going to click on the little folder icon and then go to My Templates, and we'll find the one we just imported right here, and then click on Insert and then Apply. And then it's just going to take a few minutes to kind of populate and get everything imported in. And this is the landing page format that's been proven to convert about 3 times as well as anything else I've ever tried. I've used it across many different industries. It always works if you put the information in this order. So all we have to do now is get it customized with your own content and your own styles, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So let's start right up here with the top section, the hero section, and we'll start with our headline here. So as it says, This should be about the result that your offer brings. So the more you can hit on that actual result or outcome, the better this is going to convert. So that's why you want to lead with that. So if we just click on it and we go up to content, this is where you would change it. So you would just put in the specifics of the results that your offer brings. Something like /admin task time by 75%. Then we can go up to style and we can style it whatever way we want to. So the first thing we'll click on is typography. So here we have access where it says family. We have access to literally thousands and thousands of Google fonts. It can be pretty overwhelming. So either you can go to the Google Fonts website and just browse and see what you like and carry it over. Or here's what I'll say. Montserrat is what this is set on. That's going to work about 90% of the time. So if you like it, I think it's a nice clean look. You really can't go wrong with Montserrat. Another good one is Poppins. Let's just see what that looks like real quick. That's a nice clean one too. I'm just going to do a Command Z to go back to what we had. From there, you can change things like the size. We can bring it down a bit if it's too big. We can change the weight. So right now it's set to bold. If you wanted it to be a little thinner, we can do that. Anything like that even. I'm just going to put it back to bold. I thought it looked pretty good. And then under transform, you can do things like you can make it all uppercase. Capitalize, we'll just make it, the first letter capitalized. I'm just going to put it back to default. I think it looked fine. And then line height, if you want to make things, a little looser, a little tighter, you can do it. But again, I'm just going to get rid of that to go back to how it was. I thought it was fine. Now let's go down to text color. So here's where you can change the color of your text. You have access to every color imaginable. In most cases though, I think black is pretty good. I don't generally like to use colors for text, but that's up to you. Then we've got our subheadline down here. So this says, then you want to give more context and specifics of how you get that result. What exactly is the offer? So you want to make sure that you change that right here. So you let people know exactly what it is you're offering. Again, here's the result that you offer, but then here's the actual, thing that you offer that delivers that result. And again, we can go up to style, typography. We could, make it bigger if we wanted to. I'm just going to Command Z. I think this size is pretty good. We could make it, a little thicker if we wanted to. And then for text color, I'm just going to make this black as well. I think it'll read better. So hopefully by now you're seeing how easy it is to change the look of your text. And next we have our call to action button. So I'll click on that. Then you can change the text here. It could be anything like, book a consultation or buy now, whatever action you want people to actually take on your page. And then we also have this little arrow here. If you don't want the arrow, you can just click on icon and click on none. But I kind of liked the arrow, so I'm going to do a Command Z again to go back and undo. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about styling our buttons. So again, we're going to go up to style and we can do all kinds of things here. If we went to typography, again, we can change the font, the size, the weight, all that good stuff, just in the same way we've already done. We can change the text color right here to whatever you want. Let's go back. The thing I want to do is change the color of the button because it's really important for your call to action button to really stand out, especially on a landing page, right? So I'm going to click on this little black swatch here. And again, you've got access to all of these colors, whatever you want. Just make sure it pops and it's bright and bold. So I've got a color picked out right here, a nice purple color. I'm going to go ahead and use this. And here's a tip. So whenever you have a color that you want to use and reuse on your site, all you have to do is make sure it's chosen here, then click the plus icon, and that's going to save it for you. So I might call this, call to action purple, just so we can keep track of it, and click on create. Okay, so now what we have here, let's go ahead and just take a look at this. I'm going to collapse the side panel so we can get a good look. We do have this kind of squared off button, so maybe you like that style, but there's a few other kinds of styles we can do too. You've probably seen the ones where it's kind of like a rounded corner. So under border radius, we're just going to kind of mess with that until it's got that kind of rounded corner look, looks pretty nice. Or we can even do more of a pill shape, right? Where it's round all the way. So all we have to do is just keep bringing that number up until we get to something that looks like that. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now we have this social proof element, which is actually really important. This is what a lot of landing pages will leave off in that top section. So the idea here is we're showing that other people have gone with you before and have gotten a great result. Now, if you are brand new and you can't do this, either get creative and talk about something different here, or if you really want to just get rid of this, you just right-click delete. But I highly recommend keeping it and just thinking of what can you say about your experience that would mean something here. So it can be anything like talking about how many 5-star reviews you've had, how much money you've saved your clients or customers, how much time you've saved them, or it could even be as simple as a really short quote, like a really short testimonial from somebody. That works too. So to change it, you're just going to click on the little text block and you would put in whatever you want to say here. And you can change the style as well by going up to Style, Typography. I might just make it slightly smaller so it fits on one line. I think that looks pretty nice. And then right next to it, these are image placeholders meant to be pictures of your past clients. So assuming you have pictures you can use, you would just click on each one. And then under Content, under Image, you're just going to click on Choose Image, and then you just find those pictures on your computer and you just kind of drag them over and then click on Select. And then you would do it for the one next to it. And then one more time for the next one. Now, what about this image over here? So we've got a big placeholder image that is meant to be kind of a stand-in for a happy customer. Where a lot of businesses go wrong is they'll put a picture of like themselves here, or even a picture of like the outside of their building or a skyline or something like that that doesn't really mean anything. What we want to do is show that happy after picture of what someone looks like when they've worked with you. So now to change this image, we're going to make sure that we have this column selected and then just go up to this little gray box and then go over to Style. Now this is a background image, so that's why we have to go to Style for it, and then go under Background, Image, Choose Image. And then again, you're just gonna drag and drop your image over onto the stage, and then click on Select. Okay, looks pretty good. And we're almost ready to move on, but you may notice we have a few more things to do up here. So this is where your logo is meant to be. So we're just gonna change that out by clicking on the pencil icon, under Content, choose Image, and then you just choose your logo file and you would drag that over. Now, it does work best when you have kind of a horizontal layout like this versus a vertical that's gonna take up too much, top to bottom space. You want it to be wider than it is tall. That works better for a website. So we're just gonna click on Select, and then you can do a few things with this here. You can go to Style. If this is too big, you can just go to Width and you can kind of drag it down to whatever looks good to your eye. I think that looks pretty nice. And of course we have this button here. You'll notice we have no other navigation, and that's very much on purpose. This is a landing page. By definition, you don't want to link out to other pages. Once people are here, you want to give them one option and one option only, which is to click your call to action button. So for that reason, there's no navigation, and this button needs to be exactly the same as this button. Anytime you've got a call to action button, it needs to say the same thing, look the same, and go to the same place. All right, so as long as we're on the same page there. All we're gonna do now is we're going to right click on this button. After you have it the way you want it, you wanna click on Copy, and we're gonna go up here and we're gonna right click, Paste. And then we're gonna right click, Delete on the old one. So now we have two versions of the button that are both exactly the same, and that's how we want it. Okay, so moving on, we have this little section here, which is just meant to show 3 positive outcomes that people will get as a result of your offer. So bring our side panel back out, and of course you would just choose each one. Now these are set up as what we call an icon list. So if you click right here, it's basically what I call a compound widget, right? It has 2 elements to it. It has an icon and it has text. So you would change your outcome right here, whether that's get back 5 hours a week or lose 30 pounds, whatever a positive outcome is that you can promise. And then you could change the icon by clicking on Icon Library and just choosing something here. But I highly recommend just keeping the check mark. It's a visual shorthand for, literally check, we have that, we have that, we have that. So that's why we have that icon specifically. And of course you can go up to style. If you go on text, you can change the typography to whatever font you want. Just make sure that your font is consistent throughout the page. So if you have changed it to something different, you generally want to carry that through onto the rest of the page. And we already know how to use all of these controls. The one thing I want to do here is I want to change the color of our check mark. So for that, we'll have to go up to icon. And then for color, I'm going to choose like a nice green color. Let's see, maybe kind of like a minty green, something like that. That looks good to me. So once you have this the way you want it between your icon and your text, you could make all those changes one by one to the other ones, but you don't actually have to. There's an easier way. I'm just going to right click copy, and I'm going to go over here and then right click paste style, and then one more time paste style. Just an easy little shortcut so you don't have to do too much extra work. But now I think I want to make this background a different color. So in order to do that, and by the way, this is how you can change the color of any background for any section. You're just going to choose the section as a whole by clicking these 6 dots, go up to style, and under background color, just choose whatever color you want. I'm going to choose black. I think that looks nice. But so like up top of your hero section, let's say you wanted this to be a different color. You would just choose this section here, go to style, background type, classic, color, and then you would just choose, whatever color you want. If you're going to change it from white, I recommend either just being really dark, in which case you'd have to change the text to being light, or just a very neutral color. You don't want to do something like this, right? That's not going to look very good. So either white, a neutral, or just a dark, I think is going to look best. Okay, but now we're getting somewhere. Let's keep going. So for this section, this is meant to talk about the big pain point that your offer solves. So hopefully your offer solves a problem, or you're not going to be in business for too long if it doesn't. Like everything solves a problem. So you really want to name that pain point right here in the headline, make it bold. Like I say here, use a shocking statistic or ask a pointed question about the problem in the headline. Then you're going to use the rest of this section here just to kind of talk about the symptoms of that problem. Like, what does it look like in your daily life to live with this problem? This is not to kind of twist the knife necessarily. It's here to show your potential customers that you understand what they're going through. And that's really important because if they know you understand their problem, they will automatically assume that you have the answer to it. So that's what we want to do here. And again, changing the text is as simple as clicking on it, then typing in, what's that big pain point right over here. Then we're going to choose these guys and change the text right over here. It's usually a good idea too to let's go ahead and find a section that's really important. I would see this is placeholder text, but you can bold it, right, to make sure something really stands out. I highly recommend doing that. We can go up to style. We can go to text color. I'm going to make it black just so it really stands out. And if we wanted to do that here too, I just right click copy, right click paste style. Remember, that's the easy way just to do that without having to redo everything. And again, if you want to change the background color, go up to these dots, style, background type. We could just do kind of a nice light gray if you wanted to. You could do like a black if you wanted to, obviously changing all this to white then, but I'm just going to put it back to white. I think that looked pretty good. Moving on down, here's where we have another important section. This is where we want to introduce you and your offer as the ultimate solution to this problem, okay? And you'll take this section to do it between your headline and your body copy here. We already know how to change the text. I'm just going to go ahead and change this all to black. So I'm going to go right up here, right click copy, right click paste style. Oh, but see what that did? This is all center aligned up here. This was not, this was left justified. I'm going to put it back because I don't think this looks very good having this left justified and this centered. So let's just choose this block now. Go to style, alignment. I'm going to change it back to left aligned. Okay, now let's go ahead and change out this image. So this can either be another happy customer photo, but I highly recommend actually making this a little bit more personal and either showing you or your team or possibly your product in action, something like that. So we're just gonna go over to content image, choose image. So let's say we wanna actually show you and your team so we know there's real people behind the business. It's gonna get a nice little group shot here and then click on select. Okay, looking pretty good. So next we have a really important section. This is the benefit section, not to be confused with features. Think of features as the things that people can expect from you, right? Like 24-hour customer support, dedicated sales reps, whatever those things are. Benefits are kind of like the hidden meaning behind the feature. So instead of 24-hour support, it's never get stuck or, get unstuck fast. So again, you're just gonna click one by one and you're gonna put in the name of your benefit and a short description of your benefit like so. Now don't make these too long. It should be easily described in about one sentence. And maybe this text is too big. I'm just gonna go up to style, typography. Let's go ahead and make it a bit smaller, something like that. Let's also make it black, so text color. I'm just gonna choose a simple black. And then we have our icon. So if you click on it, under content, here's where we can choose. Go to icon library. We can choose from all of these different icons, whichever one we want to use. So sometimes you have to get a little creative about, what's going to best visually represent that benefit, but you can almost always find something. I'm just going to click on insert, and then I'm going to go to style, and I'm going to make this black as well. You can also change things like the size. If it's too big or too small, you can kind of make it whatever. And you can change the background color of this as well. So if you choose, it's hard to see here, but this little gray container box, just gonna click that and then go to style, background type. Again, we're changing the background here. So we're gonna go choose color. And then I've got this green color here I'm gonna use. Now again, remember if we wanna reuse a color, what do? We click on the plus icon to save it. So just gonna save it that way. Now, once we're happy with how this all looks, we're just gonna go to the container first, right-click copy, and we're gonna right-click paste style, and then right-click paste style. Now, all that did though was it changed the background color. So we have to go to these individual elements that we changed and apply them. So what did we change? We changed the icon and we changed the description style. So let's start with the icon, right-click copy, then right-click paste style, and one more time. Now you'll notice it didn't change what the icon was. This is a star, this is a different kind of star. That's the icon itself, that's the content, that's not the style. So that's why that didn't change. We'll change it in a second. So now we're gonna go to the description, right-click copy, then paste style, and one more time. Now let's just go ahead and choose our icons for our two other benefits. So go to icon library, and maybe we'll choose this one here. And then one more time over here. And maybe this. But maybe I want this section to be darker. Maybe I want to kind of switch things up. We've had a few light sections. Maybe I want it to be dark now. So I'm going to choose the section as a whole. Remember these 6 dots. Go up to style, color. I'm just going to choose solid black. And then that means this headline needs to change. So I'll click on it, style, text color, and I'll make it white. Moving on down, now we have another interesting section. This is called the process plan. So the reason we have it is because depending on your offer, some people may not know exactly how to buy it, like what's gonna happen next. Let's say you're selling a consulting offer, right? They may not know what goes into that, right? So you need to tell them step 1, step 2, step 3 to make sure that they really understand that you have a process that they can follow. So, and the way it works, it always works better as steps 1, 2, and 3. Even if what you do has 20 steps, you don't want to complicate it. Step 1 is always just them doing the thing you want them to do here, whether it's buying it or booking a consultation, setting an appointment, taking a free trial, whatever it is, that is what you're going to put here. Step 2 is where all the actual work happens. It's where everything's done. Then step 3 is simply sitting back and enjoying the outcome. So again, we already know how to change text. We just click it one by one and we change it over here on the sidebar. I think I want to change this text to black. So I'm going to go up to Style, Text Color, let's do black. And let's also actually make this a little bit smaller. I think the text is probably too big. So I'll go to Typography, Size, let's see maybe 16 looks good, yeah. Okay, so now right-click Copy, right-click Paste Style, and one more time. And for each of these steps, let's go ahead and change the background color. I'm just going to choose this whole thing. And this is actually a background behind this text widget. So in order to change the background color here, we're actually going to go up to Advanced. Don't worry, it's not that advanced. And we're just going to go down to where it says Background, and we're going to choose a color here. So it could be, a color. I like our kind of black and white thing we got going, so I'm just going to choose black. And then I'll right-click Copy, then Paste Style, and Paste Style. But it really helps here to show some kind of a visual for each of these. So if you didn't want it, you could easily right-click Delete and get rid of the visuals, but I think they help. So I'm just going to add my own images here, one by one. So we'll choose the image. And since it's scheduling a consultation, maybe we'll have a picture of someone actually, scheduling it on their phone or on their computer, something like that. And then for We Do the Work, I'm just going to click here and then choose an image. Got an image here of someone actually kind of working. We'll add that one. And then for Enjoy the Outcome, let's just show another happy customer photo. Maybe someone who's just got all their time back and now they're just lounging at the pool. So it's going to click on Select there. Okay, looking pretty good. So now we have our testimonial section. Super important. So if you're brand new and you don't have testimonials, that's fine. Just come back to this when you do. Now feel free to keep this headline just as it is. Don't take our word for it. You could also say what our clients or customers are saying, something like that. I would just not call it just testimonials. Have something a little bit better to say about it than that. And what I've given you here is a place for a video testimonial. Those are gold if you have them. If you don't have a video testimonial, I'm just going to right click here on Delete. And then if you click the plus sign, this is where all the widgets are. So we have all these different widgets you can use. Some are paid under Pro, but these are all free, including an image. If you don't have a video testimonial, I'd probably just drag an image right here. And then I would just use, a photo of the customer or whatever, and then you would just put their testimonial right here. However, if you do have a video testimonial, let's show you how to do that. It's going to do Command Z a few times. So let's say you do have that video testimonial. How do you get it here? Well, what I recommend you do is first load it up onto YouTube. That way it's there for other people to find it on YouTube anyway, so it's a win-win. Then you're just going to click on this widget here, the video player widget, and then under content, you're going to choose the source as YouTube. You can also put it up on Vimeo or these other ones. I don't recommend self-hosting it. That means you're going to physically upload it to your website. That's going to slow everything down. So don't do that. Easiest thing is YouTube. Then you're just going to grab the link to that video and you're just going to pop it right in there. Now, what do we have over here? So this is meant to be a pull quote from the video. So like I say here, that way, even if people don't watch the video, they can still see the best part. So isolate one little soundbite, put it here in text, then you're really hitting it on all angles. And you can change this guy right here. It's an icon, quote icon. I don't think it makes much sense to change what it is because it's a quote. So we're just gonna worry about the styling. Go up to Style, Primary Color. I might just make it black. But if you have accent colors, this would be a perfect place to use it. Here you just put in their name. And then underneath it, where it says occupation information, if you're a B2B business and you help businesses, you might want to say like CEO, and then the business name. Or if you're more B2C and you just help consumers, what you could put here is just the city name, where they live. Now, once you've got this, what I would call your featured testimonial, next we have 3 more testimonials. So you'll notice that I've structured them in a certain way. So we have the testimonial itself, and notice how short it is. That's by design. Try to keep these things really short and punchy. Then for gist of testimonial, this is like a little headline that, again, if they're not going to read all of this, they're at least going to understand the point of that testimonial. Something like, cut my workload 50%. And then this would kind of talk about that. And of course, again, you would just click on each element, change their name, change their occupation information, or could be the city name, or you could get rid of this altogether. Just right click, delete. If you don't need that, that's fine. And then if you have permission to use their photos, you're just going to click on each one of these, choose image, and then you would just bring in the image of that person. The reason we want to do this, it goes a long way toward credibility, right? If you have an actual photo of a person that goes along with their quote, people tend to trust it a lot more, like they're actually standing behind their words. So that's why it's really important to include that. But you definitely want to get their permission to do it. Okay, next we have this what you'll get section. So this is meant to be your features. Remember up top here, we had your benefits. That's more like the result, but then features is just the thing you offer. So again, things like 24/7 support, dedicated customer reps, unlimited revisions if you're a designer, right? All those kinds of things. So you'll just click on each one, you'll put in the name of the feature, you'll put in a short description. Again, it should be very short. You'll do that for all of them. Now, let's say you don't have 6, right? What do? Well, if you have fewer than 6, you can start eliminating them. I'm just gonna right click on this box, delete. That leaves us with 5, and then you can do the same thing here again. Or if you have more, you can take this whole box and right click and duplicate. So it's very customizable. You can have as many as you want, and then just, start deleting what you don't need. I will go ahead and right click delete. I don't think we need that for our purposes here. Now again, what if we wanted to change the background here to black? So what I will do is I'll choose the whole section, go to style, background type, classic, and then I'm going to choose the color of black. And then, so now we've got some work to do to make sure all of this is actually readable. So I'm going to choose the headline. I'll go to style, text color white, and then I'll do that for our first one here too. Style, text color white. And I'm going to do it for this too. Style, text color white. While we're editing this, I think I'm going to make that text a little smaller too. So typography, let's go with 16, I think is what we were doing before. I think that looks pretty good. So now we just have to apply those styles across to our other ones. So what do? Right click, copy, right click, paste style, and I'm just going to do that for all of the rest of these. And then right click, copy, and then paste the style for the descriptions as well. Okay, so now we're running into an interesting roadblock that we haven't seen before, right? Because we changed the background color here. It's very obvious that we don't have a lot of what we call white space. Doesn't mean it's actually physically white. White space just refers to empty space. So generally speaking, let me just collapse this again. We don't want this little bit of breathing room between a headline and the beginning of the section. You'll notice here, it feels like all kinds of room, right? Same with this. Look how much room there is here. We want about that much here too. The way we get it, it looks like it's a little tight on the bottom as well. So I'm going to bring our sidebar back. We're going to choose this whole section. We're going to go back over to advanced. Again, this isn't that advanced, don't worry. And we're going to go down to where it says padding. Padding refers to how much space is between any element and the border of the section it's in. So this has very little padding. We want to give it more. So the way we do it is through these values here, top right, bottom left. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to do 200 here just to show you. See how it makes it all the way around? We don't want it on the sides though. We just want it on top and bottom. So I'm going to just take it back to 0, and I'm going to click here to unlink those values so they're handled differently. So I'm going to go on top. I'm just going to do 100. I think that looks pretty good. And then bottom, I will do the same. Actually, it looks like a little too much on the bottom. So let's just see what looks good to our eye here. I feel like maybe 50 is good here. All right, looks good. Okay, next section, we have frequently asked questions. Now, this is really important because by the time people get down to this section, they are almost ready to go. They've gotten this far, but they probably still have some doubts and some objections. So this is kind of a cleverly disguised section. It's not really so much about actual frequently asked questions. You do want to include some, but more than that, you want to talk about really common objections that people have, and you want to phrase it as a question. And then with this, you want to kind of give your best argument or rebuttal of why that objection is either, nothing to really worry about, or it's a myth, or something like that. So the way this is laid out here, if you go over here, it's called an accordion. They call it that because it's basically all these little tabs that you can open and close one at a time. So you're going to edit everything over here under this accordion. So we've got each individual question, and you'll notice we have 6 of them here. That's not by accident. I happen to recommend either 5 or 6 here as the perfect number for a landing page. Any more than this, and you risk overwhelming people. And any fewer, you're probably not going to answer enough to get the job done. So I like 5 or 6. If you wanted to get rid of one, you just click on the X. If you want to add another one, you click on Add Item, and you just keep going like that until you have all of them. Now to edit each one, you're going to just click one by one. Title, this is where you're going to put in the new question. And then in order to answer the question, you're just going to have to open each one of these up and click one by one and just, put the answer here. And you're just going to go one by one until you have all of them. Okay, so last but not least, certainly not least, we have the call to action block. Now, this is very important, and it's very important that it be at the last position on the page. Because again, they've made it this far, we're now hitting them up with, all right, now how about it? Let's get going here. So you want to put something in here like, ready to get started, that should have a question mark, or, looking to improve your health today, something along those lines, right? It's a pointed question that they are likely to say yes to. And we have all the same controls as always under style, typography, text color, all that good stuff. So what I could do is I could make all those changes to this button. Remember what I said? How the button needs to be the same every single instance of it, including what it says, including the style, all that good stuff. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to right click, copy. I'm just going to go back down to the bottom, right click, paste. And then I'm going to get rid of that one. And now I do think this looks pretty nice with the black background, but I want to show you one more really cool thing you can do. And this is where I generally like to do it, is in this section. So let's just choose this section as a whole, go over to style, and then under background type, we're actually going to go over to where it says video. We're going to do a background video. You don't have to do it. I just want to show you that this is something you can do. You can very easily just be a background color or an image in the background, whatever you want. But anyway, I'm just going to paste in a video link that I found on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you just search for things like B-roll or ambient video around your niche, you're going to come up with some cool stuff like this that just feels really nice as a background. And I think it's very close to being ready. The one thing that I feel it needs, the text is a little hard to read on this now, right? So the way we handle that is we basically want to do what we can to knock that video back a little bit. So it's a little darker, and the easiest thing to do is we're just going to collapse where it says background. We're going to go to background overlay. So this is where we can put a color on top of it. So go to background type. I'm just going to choose classic, and then color. I'm going to do black. See how much better that looks already? It makes the text pop and the call to action pop a lot more too. Now, some people will want to do like a color on this or something. That doesn't look so good now, does it? But black almost always looks great because it doesn't mess with the colors of the video. So this is how I recommend doing it. So let's take a quick look at what we have so far on our page. So it's nice and clean. You can style it any way you want to with all of your own images. You've chosen the fonts, the colors, all that good stuff. And this is really just designed to give people the best flow of information in the best order to really make them comfortable with taking you up on your offer. Now, we do have one more really important step here, and that is to make sure it looks good on mobile, because not sure if you know this, but more than half of web traffic now comes from people's smartphones. So we want to make sure it works well for them too. So the way to do it, right up in this top black bar, we're going to click on this little icon that says mobile portrait. So now this is going to give you a really close preview of what it's going to look like on mobile. So you will notice things like this, like if something's grayed out, that means it's set to hide on mobile. Because we probably don't need this up here. We've got the button here. If we collapse this, this is going to be a more true view preview of what it's really going to look like. So what we want to do is just go from top to bottom and see if there's anything that needs tweaking or if it all looks okay. The good news is this template that I've given you, it's almost all worked out to look good on mobile. Where things end up breaking is if, certain text sizes were messed with or anything, it may end up looking weird on mobile. So we just want to double check. So far, so good. I think everything's looking okay. Okay, everything's looking good so far. Okay, so far so good. But let's say there was something that you didn't like that you wanted to change. So let's go ahead and just just do an example of that. So all you would need to do is choose whichever element is not working or not looking good on mobile. And then you're going to go to Style and you're going to change it just like you normally would. So let's go to Typography. Here's the thing you need to look for. It's got this little icon of a mobile phone next to it. That means that whatever changes you make are only going to be affected on mobile, right? So we can change this to that, not that you'd want to, but if you change it to like something ridiculous like that, it's not going to look the same on desktop. So something good to know. But then something like weight, that is what it is. If you changed it to light, it would look the same on desktop too. So I'm just going to put that back to bold the way we had it. Another thing you might want to do on mobile is change some padding. So let's say this didn't look good and you wanted to add more padding on top of the section. You would just choose a section, go to Advanced, and then under padding, again, we're seeing the little mobile icon. So we know whatever change we're about to make only is affected on mobile. So let's unlink this. And then let's give it 50 on top. And then 50 on bottom. Not saying you have to do this, I'm just doing this for example's sake. And let's say maybe you think there's too much space here. Well, let's just go ahead and choose this section, go to Advanced, Padding. Maybe I'll get rid of all the padding there just to tighten it up a bit. So hopefully you're starting to see what all you can do and all the changes you can make. So I'm just going to go back to our desktop view. And once you're happy with everything, just click on Publish. Now I do have one more trick up my sleeve to help this whole page convert even better, and that's to use some really specific little phrases around your page that will really help you connect with your customers. It's all about describing the problem that you solve and the unique solution you offer in the same words that your customers use. That used to be really hard to get your hands on that kind of research, but thanks to ChatGPT, it's now super easy and will likely increase your conversion rates by an extra 125%. So for the full breakdown on how to do it, including the exact prompts to get it, just click on this video and I'm going to show you everything. So again, click right here and I'll meet you over there.